Hello, and welcome to my final project for EN 204 Immigration, Literature, and History. My name's Angelina Galindo, and I just wanted to start out by saying how I really enjoyed this online class, and I'm excited to show you the food I will be presenting to you. So, the food that I am presenting is ceviche, a traditional Peruvian dish made of raw fish marinated in citrus seasonings. Here are some um, illustrations of different variants of ceviche, and it comes from Peru. Before we get into the background and history, I just want to present my two research questions. I will bring them up later in the presentation, but let's think about them while I explain. So, one, is ceviche safe to eat despite being raw fish? What are the downsides of eating raw ceviche? And number two, how did immigration play into the spread of ceviche around the world? All right, now let's get into the background and history of ceviche. So ceviche can be traced back to the Moche people in Peru around 2000 to 3000 years ago. During the Inca Empire, the people ate similarly, fermenting their fish in corn and acidic fruits. The corn is called chica, and next, Spanish colonialism brought new flavors such as lemons, limes, and onions, altering the dish. Ceviche would be marinating for hours and then served. But during the 19th century, brought Japanese immigrants to Peru. The Japanese had a similar dish to ceviche, and it was called the poke bowl. This was made with raw fish like salmon or tuna, sesame oil, soy sauce, edamame, avocado, cucumber, and sushi rice. The Japanese taught the Peruvians their sashimi methods. Rather than letting ceviche sit out for hours, the Japanese influence made the ingredients more tasty by only using fresh fish marinated with lime and served within moments. This was known as Nike cuisine or Niki cuisine. I hope I pronounced that right. And the popularization caused the Peruvian gastronomic boom, mainstreaming ceviche to different parts of South and Central America, and then obviously to the world. Ceviche in modern times has hundreds of variants with different types of fish and different sides to go along with the dish depending on the country. So, why did I choose ceviche? Because my family loves it. Ceviche was at every party I could think of: Christmas, New Year's, birthdays, or a regular cookout. We also serve ceviche on summer days since it required no heat or cooking in an oven or stove. It's a food that will for sure cool you down. I think it's from the taste and the comfort that brings everyone together who eats it. I also want to show you a bit of ceviche in my own life. So last Thanksgiving, my grandma made her own version of Mexican ceviche. She used shrimp, avocado, and ground beef. And another thing that is great about ceviche is that you can use so many different ingredients, and yet it would end up delicious as long as it's in with the baseline of the recipe. Speaking of recipes, let's shift to my mom's Ecuadorian ceviche recipe. For ingredients, um, you'll need 2 pounds of cooked shrimp. Usually you leave it raw, but my mom likes to cook it for all the little kids in our family. Either way, it would taste good. So you would need two red onions sliced thinly, four diced tomatoes, one bell pepper diced. The color doesn't really matter, but if you care about presentation of the dish, different colors of bell peppers would look very nice. Then you'll need 10 to 15 limes freshly squeezed, the juice of one orange. This would add a bit of sweetness to the savory, sour citrus of the lime. Half a cup of blended tomato, one bunch of chopped cilantro, salt, and oil. My mom uses avocado oil, but any cooking oil is okay. So, to prepare, you need to soak the onion slices in salt and water for around 10 minutes. This soaks out the bitterness of the onions. Then throw all the ingredients in a bowl and let them marinate for 30 minutes to an hour. Don't leave it in the fridge for too long, but long enough to let the shrimp soak up all the flavorings. When you're ready to serve, freshen it up by adding more salt, lime, juice, or anything that would make the the dish taste as good as you want it to. So, a common side dish my mom makes with the ceviche is chifles. It's otherwise known as plantain chips. So, just a small history on plantains. Plantains are a variant of banana commonly found in Southeast Asia or Africa that were brought to Ecuador in the 16th century colonization. So, to prepare, my mom usually slices them very thin, then deep fries them in a pan until they're crisp, and she adds some salt to top it off. And it's a great side dish to go with pretty much any dish, and they're very yummy. So, didn't that make you hungry? So, now let's talk about ceviche in the media. The piece of media I used is DC Comics. I used the series Taste of Justice. This series takes us through culinary adventures with our favorite superheroes Superman, The Flash, Aquaman, and more. They create and host food gatherings, and this series actually features actual professional chefs who show how to prepare food and give a funny insight into what superheroes do in their downtime from saving the world. So I used edition three of this series, featuring Chef Jose Andres. So the world is faced with environmental disaster as shown in the first photo. Batman says that the island communities will be hit the roughest, and their food sources are mostly imported, so there'll be a lack of food. So Wonder Woman assigns Aquaman to the team. Um, she assigns Aquaman to lead the team, sorry, to gather food for those islands that need help the most. So Superman tells Aquaman he knows of a chef who helps in feeding people after disasters, Jose Andres. Jose brings the superheroes, chefs, volunteers, and people of the community to work together to make ceviche from local ingredients without being cooked, allowing many to eat it. Jose teams up with Aquaman to gather lionfish, an invasive species of fish that will be abundant for everyone. The team gathers coconuts, limes, and chilies to make the dish. After Jose and Aquaman come back from their hunting adventure, the Flash quickly skins, peels, and chops the lionfish for sliced lionfish ready to prepare. Um, so Jose directs the team to show how the ceviche is prepared. In these two little columns here, we can see everyone working together and creating a beautiful dish. So, why is this comic strip even important in significance to the food? In times of uncertainty and possibilities of scarcity, foods like ceviche can be heavily produced from the small amounts of ingredients needed. It can be altered to create a community when being made. So I love one of these illustrations of Jose as to how freshly made and beautiful ceviche can bring people hope because it does. And I also really like this illustration of the community just eating the ceviche and enjoying it because it really does bring communities together, especially if you make it together, it creates a closer bond. All right. I think that is a really perfect um, display of ceviche, especially within my own family. We make the ceviche together, and it's just like a group activity, and it's really fun. All right. So now let's circle back to my research questions that we talked about earlier. Let's answer the first one. So, is ceviche safe to eat despite being raw fish? What are the downsides of eating raw ceviche? So, ceviche is safe to eat even though the fish is raw, but to an extent. A research from BioXIV says recent research indicates that lime juice actually can reduce the risk of V. parahemolyticus infections, but it's ineffective against other potential pathogens. So, the lime juice can effectively cook the ceviche, but there are factors where contamination is likely to occur. Therefore, there are downsides. An article from Helion explains one sample of fish ceviche had E. coli at a level of 5 colony forming units, CFU/G, and one sample of spicy tuna poke had E. coli at a level of 35 CFU/G. These levels are considered to be satisfactory. And it also says the identification of generic E. coli in these seafood dishes indicates the possibility of contamination with animal or fecal matter. So the contamination is likely from humans and animals, and not from preparing the fish carefully. A research study from Bionatura Journal was conducted to identify different diseases in ceviche and other possible contaminated foods in different parts of Ecuador. So here is a list of the amounts of diseases in a certain food um, in certain regions of Ecuador. Ceviche is identified as group number 6, as I highlighted it. We could see different amounts of these diseases in different parts of Ecuador, like Quito, Guayaquil, and Cuenca. A lot of these amounts of disease found in ceviche aren't typically that bad, but it's still bad nonetheless. Lime juice, although effective for cooking the raw fish when marinating, still isn't enough to keep the food generally safe. The data we saw previously was found from vendors and carts where conditions might not have been up to standard. It really is all about keeping the fish as clean and as fresh as possible to keep diseases like E. coli to form on the fish. Even though citrus fruits do help cook the fish, keeping standards high and maintaining the quality of freshness of fish is the ultimate way to eat ceviche, despite it being raw. So, for my second question, how did immigration play into a factor of spreading ceviche around the world? I answered this question previously in the history and background of ceviche, but let's dive a little bit deeper. Spanish colonization brought more citrus fruits to make the dish even tastier, but the immigration of 18th and 19th century really made ceviche more widespread. So during the early 19th century, many Japanese and Chinese immigrants came to Peru. Many Japanese and Chinese restaurants opened serving stir fry and raw fish. In Kari Hadelsted's article, Peruvian Food and the Social Culture Origins of Peruvian Food, she says, the melding of Japanese and Peruvian cultures gave birth to a new cuisine called Niki, sorry. She also says, furthermore, the Japanese love of seafood helped incorporate dishes such as octopus and olive oil, ceviches, and various noodle with seafood dishes helped create the Niki. The Japanese influence foods more than ceviche, and the fusion created the Niki cuisine. The Japanese bringing their sashimi methods to make ceviche fresher and more delicious. In an ASU article, Ceviche in Peru, the article says, with the popularity of sushi across the world, Western European palates became much more receptive to the dish than when the Spanish originally tried to recreate it. Japan's food influence around the world had already helped ceviche become mainstream as well, since Japan already practically set up the world to receive foods like ceviche and sashimi types of food. The article also says along the Pacific coast to the north of Peru, ceviche and its variants dot coastal town restaurants. So, from this, we can see the Japanese influence really spread ceviche to different countries, especially in the Americas. And these countries made their own variants, like the one my mom made. All right. So, in conclusion, ceviche is a food spread throughout the world because of Japanese immigration, bringing families close together through the taste and flavors. Media like DC Comics shows this closeness from ceviche, and it can be made with practically anything. As long as it's made carefully and cautiously, it can be delicious and nutritious. So, I thank you for watching this presentation. I hope you learned a little something, and I hope you enjoyed it. And that is all for now. Thank you so much, and bye bye.